This is Gray.
This is Mel.
This is Liz.
And we want to wish you a Happy New Year! This is episode 99. Actually, technically the 100th episode. Won't get into that. But this is Monday, January 2nd, 2012. And we have two awesome episodes of Chuck that we're going to get to. And it's going to be probably a little longer than usual. But first, we got some news. Mel?
Well, Nielsen released some stats for the year that was 2011, and there's some good news for Chuck fans in there. According to NM Insight, which is a Nielsen McKinsey company, Chuck garnered the most online buzz of any TV show in 2011.
Yeah.
It had a whopping 54% of mentions among the top 10 most buzzed about TV shows this year. To put that in perspective, Desperate Housewives was in second place with 16% of the mentions.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, yeah. And, I was thinking about this, and if I had to, pinpoint what it was exactly that set Chuck apart, what one thing, obviously Chuck fans are always out on Twitter and Facebook, and, we're kind of the evangelists of the TV industry for our show. But I think it was the Not a Nielsen Family campaign that We Give a Chuck had spearheaded last spring as part of the renewal campaign, because of course that was focused on tweeting, and a lot of people joined in, and it garners a lot of blog posts and Facebook mentions and all that stuff, in addition to just the regular stuff that Chuck fans do. So good work, Chucksters, and tip of the hat to We Give a Chuck for coming up with the idea.
For sure.
Yeah. Awesome. And speaking of 2011, be sure to check out our annual Chuck Year in Review at chucktv.net.
It's always fun to look back.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of looking back, we just concluded our Ultimate Villain Showdown for seasons 1 through 4, and the winners have been chosen. They are, drumroll, Laszlo Manhofsky, Ted Rourke, Daniel Shaw, Alexei Volkov, and Clyde Decker. We'll choose the baddest baddie of season 5 after the show wraps, and then have a final tournament for the ultimate Chuck villain of all time. So be watching out for that.
Some pretty good bad guys over the course of the series.
And it looked like everybody was having fun doing this.
Yeah, they were. Got into some heated discussions about who was the baddest of them all. It was pretty obvious from early on that Shaw and Volkov were going to run away with their seasons. I wasn't sure about the other two, though. So, yeah, interesting stuff.
No one thought Mark Hamill was... No, huh?
He was just there for such a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Yeah. I am alone.
Well, we hope you caught the holiday podcast with holiday greetings from 18 of the Chuck cast and crew. And thanks to crew member Suwani Wilhelm, series wrap party, and set teardown pictures. It was, I think it just came together really well. And if you missed it, please do check it out. You're not going to want to miss it. Go to blip.tv/Chuck Podcast or chuckpodcast.com to catch that episode and make sure that you get your encouragement from the cast and crew. And I thought just some really touching ones, and also some really fun ones too.
Yeah.
Bring your box of tissues.
Yeah. Julia Ling's letter there at the end was pretty funny.
Oh yeah.
And Gomez, he always brings it.
Oh yeah. That's for sure. And also another really, really cool thing, thanks to Chuck fan Rick Campanella, he goes by Rick Online, he asked me to come on a radio interview that was on an LA radio station, AM 1680, this week on Thursday night, I think it was. And it was a show that was all about Chuck. It featured Zachary Levi and Mark Christopher Lawrence. And so that was just a really, really neat thing to do. Of course, I was totally tongue-tied. It was a very weird thing being on the other side of the interview, but you can check it out. Hopefully, it'll be archived in their podcast section. You can find that at adrenalineradio.com, spelled adrenaline without the ending E, and then radio.com. Do check it out. And I appreciate Rick wanting to encourage Chuck fans with that interview.
And I thought you did a good job, Gray.
Oh, thanks.
I thought you did just fine.
I actually wasn't even able to hear it myself, so I can't wait to hear the archived version.
I think it's probably better than you think it was. Better than you remember. That's
cool.
the way that works.
Yeah. Well, we're going to just have a quick word from our sponsors and then get to talking about 2 amazing episodes of Chuck. Here we go. This week's featured sponsors have products that help your computer. Don't have enough PCI slots in your computer? Magma.com can add more, even high-end graphics or storage cards, starting at $829. Or take a look at NetStore with PCI expansion enclosures starting at $499. FX Factory by Noise Industries powers hundreds of visual effects for Final Cut Pro, Motion, Final Cut Express, and Adobe After Effects. Part 2 of our sponsor messages will be after the episode discussion. And we're back. It already seems like a long time ago, but Chuck versus the Santa Suit, which was written by a writing assistant, Amanda Kate Shuman, I thought was an amazing episode. What do you guys think?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Whew, I was blown away.
Shaw was so freaking insane.
Oh yeah.
Gosh. I thought I was going to go right through my TV screen if he were going to hit Sarah one more time.
Right?
He just beat the tar out of her.
I couldn't believe that they did that.
Oh, that was violent.
But then this week's episode, she had another couple of brutal scenes. I was like, dang. I mean, Yvonne had to be sore after those 2 weeks of filming.
Oh, yeah.
Because, she does a lot of that stuff herself. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I was thrilled to bits with Shaw. That's the Shaw that I wanted in season 3. Mm-hmm. That's the Shaw he should have been in season 3. Just the complete and utter, unhinged, unpredictable villain. I mean, the stakes were high. I actually wasn't sure what he was going to do because, especially with that opening fight with Sarah, it's like the gloves are off.
Yeah, It was so right there. It was like, it was like an explosion in the very first scene before even the opening credits. It was like this, and I gotta say, Brandon Routh, he did a great job, excellent job. That's probably I think. It kind of looked like that's what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
Well, it was hard earned, and I think that you couldn't have had this episode in the 3rd season because we wouldn't have felt that he. I know. Well, just like you said, the stakes that the stakes were earned, but the fact that you took the season 3 Shaw and had him stew in prison.
Yeah.
Like it was like this was a well-marinated villain. And so when he was just so vicious with the freezing temperatures and wanting her to suffer and all that kind of thing, you just felt that this is a guy who's been stewing and simmering and suffering on his own. And so it was just all the more gritty and poignant because of it.
Yeah.
And then Chuck and Ellie took him out. Chuck and Ellie!
Yay!
Wachowskis!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people I know were disappointed that it wasn't Sarah that, delivered the final blow. But you know what? She did that. Mm-hmm. She did that back in season 3. And they made it clear from the beginning that they were avenging Stephen J. Bartowski's death.
Yeah.
So, yes, it needed to be Chuck and Ellie. Ellie needed to be a part of that. Yeah. She needed to get that frying pan out and smack him upside the head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm loving what they're doing with Ellie this season.
Ooh, I am too. Yeah, awesome. Yeah. She I'm so glad that she was completely a part of that for that episode. And it was fun that Devin was there too. To kind of be there with her, now instead of stopping her and saying, no, this isn't our fight. They just totally both got into it, even though they really realized that, this is the real thing.
Mm-hmm.
We could really be in serious trouble here. Mm-hmm. They were able to kind of pull it together and figure stuff out. Even if it didn't go 100% according to plan, they were still able to pull it together. And I don't know, you gotta give them kudos for that.
Mm-hmm. Now, I do have to mention one thing that was brought up on Twitter, and as always happens, no matter how good an episode is, you always see some tweets of, but I didn't like this, but I didn't like that. And I know that some people had an issue with how could Shaw possibly still have an intersect when the intersect was removed from Chuck. But the thing is, it totally fits. We have to remember, who was it that removed the intersect from Chuck very forcefully? That was Decker. And it was established very clearly that Decker had been turned by Shaw
Exactly.
when Decker went to him in prison. He was blackmailed by Decker. So presumably Decker was on his way to remove the intersect from him then when he was turned. And so it's totally believable that Shaw could have still had it. The only person who would know that he still had it was Decker, who was in his pocket. Mm-hmm. And so he could just sit in there, stew, use his intersect to gain intel and that kind of thing. Totally believable.
Yeah. And then Chuck could turn it against him and upload, scenes from Christmas episodes and movies.
Yeah.
And de-intersect him. Go, Chuck, go. That's another thing I'm loving about the season is that Chuck does not have the intersect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I am too. I'm just really, really in love with that.
Yeah.
And he's still kicking butt and taking names.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And the whole storyline with General Beckman and
oh my gosh,
Chuck at that CIA party.
This is my team. This is still my team. Yeah, it is. Go.
Yeah.
I loved it when she said, "Let's go get our girl."
Yeah.
Yes.
I just loved it. It was a simple sentence, but just the way she referred to Sarah as our girl.
Yeah.
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 I know.
Now this is I got to mention these Twitter comments again. Somebody else said, "How is it the CIA could be having a Christmas party when there was this big virus out?" Now I don't proclaim to be an expert about the CIA, but I know big companies and I certainly know politicians have no problem throwing parties no matter what's going on.
This is true.
Am I right?
It never even occurred to me to question that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think of it either. I think I was just too caught up in Beckman's reaction to it all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Stan Lee's cameo.
Oh, Stan Lee.
Of course. I loved Zach's expression. He's playing Chuck, uber geek Chuck, who sees Stan Lee at the CIA party and discovers that he is a spy.
Yeah.
I mean, his mind was blown.
Well, yeah. And you know what? That is, I think out of all of the cameos that I've ever seen Stan Lee do, that was the best.
The best. It was.
The best. Because it actually involved him as a person in the storyline.
Uh-huh. And getting to interact with Benita Frederici, who, I'm telling you, I think there's nothing you can do that would fluster that woman.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you can put her in any situation and she's like, whatever.
Yeah.
I got stuff to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go.
Get
it together, people.
Mm.
Yeah. There will be no smooching, Stanley. Get away.
Mm-hmm.
Go away.
It's hilarious. I loved it.
Yeah.
Oh.
And her resolution, though, with Santa was hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, we will never speak of this. Never. First,
Chuck.
You're about to become a man.
Yeah. Oh, and then doing the lipstick afterwards, like.
Yes.
Oh, it was such a wonderful episode, and it was I don't know.
So intense.
It was really intense. It was I loved the all the scenes with Morgan and Alex working together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Alex bringing it, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I didn't see that coming.
That girl, she's going to be a spy. She's got to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In the end.
Oh, and also, John Casey with that teddy bear.
Mm-hmm.
That was so sweet. Oh. And then that he realized that, he had a chance to talk to her, to say that to her in person. Yeah. And he did it.
Yeah.
That shows a progression for the character as well as the show.
Yeah.
Because in the first 2 to 3 seasons, you could tell that people were feeling things, but they wouldn't actually tell the person about whom they were feeling it. And it wasn't just Chuck and Sarah. It was, everybody was holding things in. And so it's really nice to be seeing some of that actually come out. And especially with Casey, it's a real payoff for him.
Yeah. Yeah. And yet totally consistent with the Casey character that we've seen all along.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's obviously fallen in love with his daughter. This daughter he didn't realize he had. And over the course of the last, year and a half, we've seen him really, really come to love his role as her father and just open up to her. It's been one of the best decisions they've made, I think, on the show, was to bring in Alex for Casey.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And now, what did you guys think? Again, didn't bug me, and people talked about the Subway product placement, and
I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, I thought it was one of the better ones. I thought it was it wasn't sort of so over the top. And then Jeff and Lester figuring out this virus.
I totally love that. I loved it. I'm so happy that they used Jeff and Lester that way. Mm-hmm. I really am. I mean, it's been fun to see Jeffster break out, and rock and roll and everything. It's been fun, but I really just kind of wanted to see what else they would do, especially with Jeff being, detoxified, and I love that, they're drinking all the coffee and the more they drank,
they're bouncing off the walls.
Yeah.
But then they were able to figure it out. And I'm just so glad that they gave that to them to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that they're not always just the butt of the jokes.
Exactly.
And
it's a reminder that they're really talented too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. I mean, Lester's a guy who, when he was in prison, he was able to negotiate his way to the top by giving internet to all of the inmates.
And cable.
And cable.
Yeah.
And he's been established as this sort of anti-Chuck that has the ability to do these things, but for Lester, it's that he doesn't want to.
Mm-hmm. Or he wants to do it for his own gain.
For his own gain, yeah,
save
exactly.
The world. Yeah. Right. Or, apparently for a 6-inch sub, he can be bought. So, just like I was going to say a trip to the Bahamas.
And they did it all, and they did it all in elves suits.
Yeah.
Okay, that was just cute.
That was really cute.
Yeah. And I do think we have to mention, we didn't need to be convinced that Yvonne Strahovski is an amazing actress, but given the fact that she was tied up for almost this entire episode, and yet she just delivered.
She did, as always. What was that line that he said to her? What's the worst thing you can imagine? And she said, spending Christmas Eve with you.
Yeah.
Feisty.
Yeah. And here's a person who comes from Australia and moved to Los Angeles and yet really convinced us that she was cold.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
They did a nice job with the makeup on her too. Mm-hmm. You notice as the episode progressed that her face was getting kind of bluer and grayer and just looking a little frosty.
Yeah.
I just noticed that. I thought that was pretty well done.
Yeah. And it was such a neat, when we all saw the promo for the episode, and when Chuck comes out and says, he says you got to face me without the intersect, and Chuck says
he says the intersect won't do you any good now.
Oh yeah, the intersect won't do you any good now. And what does Chuck say? Don't be so sure.
Yeah.
And of course we all thought, oh, what's going to happen? Is he going to get the intersect? And it was a really nice anti-payoff.
Mm-hmm. It was a red herring, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I loved it. I'm totally glad that Chuck doesn't have the intersect. I hope he doesn't ever get it back.
Oh, you're going to get mail, Liz.
I know.
I agree, though.
Okay,
he doesn't need it anymore. He
doesn't need it. Yeah.
Okay, now I think this is 3 for 3. So another Twitter issue that people had was, how is it that Chuck, without the intersect, was able to fight this spy? And he said
he's been training.
And he said he's been training, and people said, well, why haven't we seen this? Well, number one, yes, we have. All the way since the beginning, they've been training in that sparring room. Mm-hmm. And as well, I have to think, this relates to, I just got a piano keyboard over Christmas, and I haven't actually played piano in about 22 years. And I picked it up and I started to play, and I'm remembering songs that I literally haven't played in 25 years. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I close my eyes and I remember the songs better. And that's because of something that's called muscle memory.
Exactly.
Chuck has had the intersect for almost 5 years and has been doing all this kung fu. And that the intersect kicks in and kicks out. So there's ramping up and ramping down that's all Chuck and not the intersect, even all the way back. And so I can totally believe that he's picked up a lot of this stuff along the way.
Plus, he just fought Intersected Morgan in episode 3. He just did it. How quickly we forget. I mean, he wasn't able to defeat. Well, he used alternative means to defeat Morgan, but he held his own. I mean, and then he said, you know, oh, I've been training, so I don't know. That did not bother me at all because it made sense. Sense. One of the complaints that I've seen the most on the site is, and actually I got into a discussion about that with a couple of people, is about that after they took down Shaw, why did Chuck stop and talk to Ellie before rushing down to see Sarah? And that kind of goes with this whole endless complaining about the lack of chemistry, or, you know, the fact that they're not doing it every second on the show. I don't know. I don't mean to be flippant, you guys, but I just don't understand it. So from my perspective, they have a terrific relationship, and I don't need to see them gazing into each other's eyes, you know, after every commercial break. I don't need it.
Yeah.
But you know, Chuck and Ellie, they had just defeated the man who killed their father for the love. Give him a minute.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and somebody's like, well, you know, just a peck on the cheek and a blanket is all Sarah gets. I don't know what you wanted. She was frozen. What was he going to do? Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I don't most it either.
These complaints tend to be coming from men. And the women, and I actually asked this on the site. I said, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, ladies, but I'm seeing a really solid relationship between the two of them. And maybe it's just more subtle, and that's why the guys aren't picking up on it. And I had several female fans chime in and say, yeah, we think it's great. We love it. We see it. And so I think it just may be a subtlety thing. You know, we're picking up on things that maybe, you know, the female fans are picking up on things that maybe the male fans aren't. And in this case, it was completely appropriate for Chuck and Ellie to take a minute and hug and talk about the fact that the man who killed their father is defeated again. Yeah. You know, woohoo!
Yeah. Okay. I do have to just mention, one more. And now this one I did say. So after all this fighting and stuff, Sarah has a tiny bruise on her cheek, and Shaw looks like he's been through a blender. In that scene in the prison where he's brought out, and he's got this bruises all over his face and stuff. I interpret that there were a lot of people on his way to prison that decided to let into him. There's a lot of people didn't like this guy, and maybe he got a little beat up.
Well, the bruises weren't there after his fight with Sarah. They were there after his fight with Chuck. Yeah. So that's...
I guess what people were wondering is, she was roughed up a lot by Shaw, so why wasn't she bruised up to the same extent? But
I think it's because it's Chuck. It's not. No, it's not. I don't know.
If you go back and watch the fight, he wasn't delivering facial blows. Chuck was. Yeah. But Shaw was not. Shaw was going for the core. You know, he was going for the abdomen and, you know, the legs. He wasn't going for her face. Yeah. So she wouldn't be beat up in the face. But she would pull a knife out of her shoe.
I love that she has a knife in those heels.
Yeah, and it's so Sarah, you know. Yeah. Knives are her MO. They're her happy place. As we saw again in this week's episode.
Yeah, and you know what? I do say, when she was walking around Castle and she had those heels, you think, well, why was she in heels. Well, of course, she didn't know that Shaw was going to capture her.
No.
Number one.
She was busy helping Ellie. She was being a little Christmas elf.
Yeah, getting ready for a Christmas party. So of course she could be in heels, but also she can own those heels. Like she is not hampered by heels.
No.
Well, they're her weapons too. So
it figuratively and literally.
Yes. Mm-hmm. It was just another day at the office as far as she was concerned until Shaw showed up.
Yeah. But anyway, again, I have to mention Amanda Kate Shuman, who literally, when I visited in 2009, she was answering phones.
Wow.
And now she's writing this kind of episode. I'd say she's got a future ahead of her.
Oh,
way to go.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Amanda.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
We'll be looking for you.
Burst onto the scene.
Yeah. Oh, and I should mention that we gathered together a bunch of encouraging messages from Twitter and sent them to Amanda after that, and also from email. And she emailed back, and she was incredibly thankful. So everybody who did send in encouragement for her, she says thank you. It was very, very exciting for her to read.
Good.
Yep.
That's one of the things I love about this show is that we're able to interact with the writers. That just really doesn't happen on other shows. That they get the props that they deserve, really.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And for her first, I think she co-wrote an episode before this, but I think, and don't quote me on this, but I think this was her first full episode.
I believe that's right.
Yeah. And so for her first full episode to deal with the return of a major villain,
I know,
like already, and a holiday episode with all the emotions involved and all of that.
All those,
terrific job. And we've had a lot of bad segues on the podcast.
Well, wait a minute.
We're not done yet? Okay.
I just pulled it up on IMDb, and she also wrote The Family Volkov. So that was her first episode.
Now that may have been co-written as well, and they don't always indicate that.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Nicholas Wooten. She and Nick Wooten co-wrote that. Yeah.
So.
But speaking of it being a holiday podcast or a holiday episode, I mean the holiday podcast, FYI. Flip.tv/Chuck podcast. But the bracelet.
Yes.
The bracelet was featured again, so you guys can stop bugging me about the bracelet. It's still there. She still has it. She has it back.
And well integrated into the plot. I thought it was really nice how he took it and she got it back.
Yes.
Yeah, really, really nice.
And this time Chuck gave it to her with all of that history behind them and the fact that they're married now. And she actually knows Chuck's mom. Mm-hmm. Well played.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very, very well played. Okay, now getting back to my I got to hold on to this good segue.
Okay. So, go segue.
Okay, my good segue is we had a first time, as a full episode, first time writer for last week's Awesome Chuck. Well, this week's Chuck was a first time director.
Yay!
Matt Barber, who we know very well from, he's been on the podcast a few times, and he's very, very active on Twitter. He's been editing Chuck since the very beginning. Well, not the very beginning. Norm Buckley edited the first 2 episodes, but he was in that first season editing crew. Well, this was his very first time directing an episode of television. He's directed some short films and that kind of thing, but first time directing an episode of television. Sorry, that was a lot to say. And together with an awesome script by Rafe and Lauren, who we love.
Yes.
Terrific episode, Chuck versus the Baby. What do you guys think?
It was in my top 5 within 15 minutes.
Oh, yeah. My gosh.
And it stayed there.
Mm-hmm.
It may be number 1.
These final episodes are wearing me out.
Yeah. Well, they just keep on coming. Like, wow.
They're so emotional and intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 times I teared up.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, I'm going to cry. And if it weren't that I was tweeting with, fans out there, I would have. In fact, some of them did. And some of them were men. I love you guys.
Yeah. We got some stuff on our eyes in the chat room. We had to take a minute.
Yeah. It was, and honestly, I mean, for a first time directing, to direct these poignant, emotional scenes, to do a foreign location, and also, some good stuff between Morgan and Alex as well.
Mm-hmm.
And some killer action sequences.
Yeah, killer action. It was just, I think, an awesome episode. And all the things we love about Chuck. I mean, the great action, at the same time having these really touching moments.
Some excellent, oh my gosh, Yvonne, I don't know how she doesn't have like shelves full of awards. This woman is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, back strong Sarah-centric episodes. Mm-hmm. She did well. She brings it. Woo.
Yeah. Anytime they decide to feature her, I mean, she does it. She just does anything they ask her to do.
Mm-hmm.
And she does it well. She makes a lot of other actors look like they're just, like they are acting. And with her, it looks like this is actually her,
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't look like she's acting.
Yeah.
And that actually reminds me at the end when Chuck and Sarah are interacting with little Molly.
Mm-hmm.
That was the most I've ever seen Yvonne and Zach actually shine through.
Yeah.
Their characters, they are somewhat like their characters, but especially obviously Zach, but in that case, I was like, oh my gosh, I've actually heard them say that in that tone of voice when they've interacted with kids. It was pretty cool.
Mm.
Yeah.
But
I loved her scenes with Cheryl Ladd.
Mm.
Cheryl Ladd is still, can I just say, she is still so awesomely beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I loved her in this. I just loved her.
Yeah.
She was perfect casting. Perfect.
And especially, it is incredibly hard to, number one, act in a vacuum, which basically be on the phone. So you're not actually interacting with anybody. This is your introduction to the show after introducing to a character after 5 seasons of getting to know Sarah. And then
being a big mystery.
And to come on the scene totally strong and believable in this interaction with Sarah. Awesome stuff by Cheryl Ladd.
I loved how they were able to connect through that lullaby.
Mm.
Yes.
That's the first time I started to tear.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was just so tickled that we were hearing Yvonne sing, and then we got to hear her speak Hungarian a little bit earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she can do everything. And she was double fisting the rifles at the beginning at that, at the mansion.
Yeah, that was practically a Matrix scene where she was on the table.
It totally was.
Yeah.
And then she did Croft, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lara Croft. And then she does it again in present day in the kitchen when Riker finds her there.
Mm-hmm.
And just outstanding. Yeah. Outstanding. And I have zero nitpicks with this episode.
Yeah.
Zero.
And I thought it was so neat to have her be this Lara Croft or whatever in the Matrix. You get the idea that there's nothing that she can't face. And then there's the baby. And she is just
blown away.
Gotta call her mom. I don't know what to do.
Yeah. And I loved that about her. You just got that character so quickly through that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then coming full circle to her first assignment, which was Chuck.
Mm.
Yeah. And we saw the iPod, the smashed up, or the whatever it was that Bryce sent him the email from.
Mm-hmm.
We saw it on Graham. We saw Graham again.
Yeah.
And we saw, oh man, that was so cool.
Yeah. Nice throwback to season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's so interesting to think from her perspective, because we saw the other General Beckman with Casey, but but the first time we meet Sarah is I think right at the Bymore, right?
Yeah.
And it's so nice to now go back in our minds and piece together what happened to her before that, and literally probably hours before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, because she would have been right on a plane to Burbank.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like that scene came right after her, all that talk about where her mom was talking to Chuck and saying, thank you for giving her this life.
Mm-hmm.
It's as close to normal as she can get.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
given her past.
Even that shot as they enter on the picture of Chuck and Sarah together, and you can tell that Cheryl's looking at that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's so happy to see that Sarah has found this man. Yeah. This man who is just what she needed. He's exactly what she needed.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a nice validation just for Chuck and Sarah fans too, I think.
Now, speaking about fans of a character, how about Tim DeKay?
I know. I was just man, I could not wait to see him in this because I'm a big White Collar fan. I haven't missed a single episode, and talked with him a few times on the phone and interviews. And he is. I just couldn't wait to see him in this. Of course, I've seen him in other things here and there, but this one, and honestly, because I remain spoiler free for this, I didn't know that he was really going to be the bad guy of this episode, the big bad of this episode.
And he did well.
And he did a great job. And he was really bad. And I hated him. And, and I just love that he's a very talented man. So I think he brought all his best to the show. And I think he did very, very well. So bravo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he came in and there was already a feeling like he and Sarah had a history. I mean, just the way that the two of them worked together. It was totally believable that they had this history, and that, again, the stakes were higher for her because she had a connection to this guy and she had trusted him and he had betrayed her. And so she had to hide the baby from him, and it was a big deal. It was a big deal. But I really liked the fact that, this was something that a lot of fans were complaining about, especially after the scene. NBC released a sneak peek of that scene with her getting ready to go out on the mission and Chuck trying to get her to tell him why, what was going on. And they were saying, what about the policy? No more lies, no more lies. And here she is lying to Chuck. Well, she's not lying to Chuck. She's, she is having to keep a secret from him. And they did say no more secrets, but I mean, let's get real. She's been a spy for how many years? But, I thought they handled that really well when he said, Sarah, that was wrong. You should not have gone on your own. You should have, let us help you. You should not have left on your own. And she said, you know what? You're right.
Yeah. Which actually, I was going to say, for Sarah, it was really, really nice to have two very distinct arcs in this episode. You had, on the one hand, the arc between her in the past and her in the present, but then you had the other arc with her, even in the present, going out on her own, and then in the end, realizing she needed the team.
Right. I kind of feel like this is the last piece to the Sarah Walker puzzle, and I think it's kind of a completion of her character. From here, she's Chuck was the one to tell her you were wrong. Just like it was only a couple episodes ago when Sarah was telling him the same thing when he went off and did his own thing.
Yep.
And so here's, turnaround. And I just kind of feel like there isn't anything left that I want or that I'm curious to see about her character anymore. I like her now. She's complete. And that scene, it wasn't more evident than that scene with all of them around the table, around the dinner table, the entire family, including her mother. And, to me, it was just, this is it for Sarah. This is all we're going to see. And from here on out, it's just going to be kind of wrapping up, loose ends that haven't been wrapped up yet. But for her, I really kind of feel like she's complete now.
And turning down the CIA offer and carving the Chuck plus Sarah in the house. Yeah. I mean,
again with the knife. And oh my gosh, you guys.
Yeah.
She killed him.
Yeah.
With the knife.
With the knife.
And we saw blood.
Him. Now somebody said on Twitter, why couldn't she do that with Shaw?
Because she was tied up downstairs. That's why.
But she was tied up downstairs, and it would have been nice, but I get a kind of, this is confession time. I get a little satisfaction out of knowing that Shaw is going to spend the rest of his life in solitary.
Yeah.
With no
without
intersect.
the intersect this time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's, living hell on earth.
With flashes of Santa.
He deserves that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but, we were just talking. My oldest niece was behind on Chuck.
Mm-hmm.
So she came over yesterday and watched episodes 3 through 7 in one day. And I knew that this was going to happen. When she saw that Shaw was coming back, she just screamed with joy. She was so excited. She thinks he's the best bad guy she's ever seen. So she was ecstatic when he came back. But I was talking to my mom about it, and there have been a few instances, like we had to fast forward some of the Casey Verbansky stuff because she's 12. She doesn't need to see that. But Mom was saying, we really don't have to do that so much with the violence because people die, but we never see blood on the show. I mean, even when Decker got blown to bits, on a lot of shows that would have been an opportunity to get pretty gross. But, we didn't see that on this show. And then tonight, or this week, in this week's episode, here we go. Knife through the back with blood. But
Ouch.
You know what? It was really satisfying.
Yeah.
It was really satisfying. It was brutal, but it was satisfying.
Yeah. Well, especially because I think they really, really established from the beginning how Tim DeKay's character was just depraved.
Yeah. He wanted to kill that baby for her money.
Yeah.
Poor baby.
Yeah. And now we should mention the subplot. We finally see Morgan and Alex come together, and I thought it was a really nice. It was fun to see the Awesomes, and even though you think they're so awesome, and yet what she thinks was why, or what she knows is why she fell in love with him, he doesn't think. Like he doesn't know the real reason that she did. It was really that she saw his relationship with his mom and he thought it was the flowers.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
that's cute.
But at the same time, they were able to help Morgan and Alex, and it was Morgan with the kid. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that was so sweet.
Yeah,
seeing him play with her like that was fun.
Yeah,
and I really liked that it was Ellie talking to Morgan. And it was, it was Devin talking with Alex.
Yeah.
And that Ellie told Morgan, "You're a catch."
Yeah.
I mean, 5 years ago, ew, never said that.
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking during that scene, here's the words that Morgan had wanted to hear for how long.
Yeah.
He had a crush on her, and now he hears them, and he's onto somebody else.
Yeah.
Kind of thought, oh, the irony.
and holy arcs in this show. I mean, if you go back to season 1 of any of these characters and just chart their path, all of these characters have grown so much, and their relationships have grown so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've really become such a wonderfully tight-knit family. Unconventional, but a tight-knit family. It's really a joy to see that when they bring them all together at the table at the end. And I just really love that. But I also liked that Ellie and Awesome were so excited to be in Castle, and they didn't want to actively waste their babysitter. So they cheated. They cheated at life.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah.
Ellie comes out with that bullet thing around her.
I can relate though. When you're married and you got a babysitter, you want to milk it.
You don't want to actively waste that babysitter.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm really curious if they're going to have Ellie and Awesome sign up for the CIA. They kind of seem to keep toying with it, but they're not really that good at it. Even when they're just pretending. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, so there's not too many episodes left. Boy, we're January now.
Yep.
Yeah. And I guess in the spoilers, we'll talk about next week. But I think that we are seeing some storylines wrap up already.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but we still have 5 episodes left, and as much as they pack into each one, I can't even imagine what they're going to do. Well, I kind of can because I know some stuff, but I mean, what they're going to do in the meantime, how they're going to keep us entertained.
Yeah, and with Shaw in prison and Decker blowed up real good, we still have a baddie to meet, and we know he's a baddie. Yep,
the last big bad coming up.
It's not over yet.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, I think we need some spoilers before we spill stuff we shouldn't.
All right.
Yeah, we definitely do. So we're just going to hear from our second batch of sponsors. We're going to roll right after the sponsor messages into the spoilers. So if you are stopping here, thanks for watching. Otherwise, we'll see you shortly. Red Giant's Magic Bullet Suite can give you Hollywood-style looks and special effects as simply as with a single click. For a short time only, get Magic Bullet Mojo for only $49. Starting your own podcast? You need an audio interface to get sound in. Go to presonus.com for a wide range of affordable yet high-quality options. And if you're a photographer, you can get a lot more out of your camera with high dynamic range photography, made possible by Photomatics software. And here we go with spoilers. Mel.
Well, first up, we have our synopsis for episode 509, which airs on January 6th. It's a Casey-centric episode, and it's called Chuck versus the Kept Man. Gertrude Verbansky returns with a mission for Chuck and a proposition for Casey. Excuse me. While Chuck and Sarah contemplate the next step for Carmichael Industries, remember they turned down the offer to be in the CIA, Casey's forbidden love, Gertrude Verbansky, walks back into his life with a questionable mission in South Beach.
Interesting.
Florida. Meanwhile, Jeff's enhanced intelligence leads he and Lester to suspect that something unusual may be happening at the Weimar. You think?
After 5 years?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
Oh, I'm just excited that Carrie Ann Moss is going to be back.
Oh, yeah.
I know. And it's a Casey-centric episode, so we should get a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'm really excited.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well,
wait.
Oh,
The promo for next week.
Oh, right.
Oh.
Okay, so we get the whole, Casey Verbansky stuff, but then, and I love how the person I had to email after this aired, it's like, how could you do it that way? The person who cut it. Meanwhile, with Chuck and Sarah,
pregnancy test.
The pregnancy test.
Is that a minus? Is that an arrow?
I don't know. What does it mean?
Yeah.
Oh, Chuck.
An arrow. I laughed.
Well, that would certainly be interesting. I could imagine some fun storylines with Chuck being protective of Sarah.
Yeah. And if they're going to, by the end of the season, by the end of the series, she has to be pregnant. She has to. But, I mean, that's just the way the story is going to end. I'm sure of it. But it'll be interesting, to see in these last few episodes, if she is pregnant, how he handles that.
Yeah.
And it'd be interesting to see how Casey handles it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uncle Casey.
Aww.
How cute.
Yeah.
Although I don't think Aunt Gertrude would.
Aunt Gertie.
Gertie. I don't think she's going to be real happy with that one at all.
Yeah.
I don't know. Aunt Gertie. Oh my. Well, we do have a tidbit that we can share with you about an action sequence taking place in Chuck versus the Goodbye, which is the final episode.
Wow.
Skydive Professional reports that Skydive Pismo Beach, a new company offering diving opportunities in California, got an unexpected request last month to provide last-minute services for a skydiving sequence with the Chuck stunt team. Manager Chris Lee explains they wanted to shoot some footage of skydivers landing on the beach. We were perfectly set up for what they needed. It all came together very quickly. The show brought in their own stunt jumpers, Carly Ayers, and camera flyer Craig O'Brien. But viewers may see footage of the Pumpkin, the company's trademark plane, on a scene, one of the scenes as well. So, considering the 2 stunt jumpers will be well covered, we hope, with protective gear and therefore unrecognizable, I don't know. Who do you think they're going to be standing in for? Chuck and Sarah?
I kind of wonder if it's not a Morgan Alex wedding and they do something crazy like skydiving.
That's kind of what came to my mind too. Yeah. Something, or maybe not a wedding, but Casey Verbansky, something. I think it's
they go off on a mission.
Yeah, like I've been saying all along.
But on the other hand, at the end of the pilot was Chuck and Sarah at the beach. Not skydiving, but they were at the beach. So I don't know. So many possibilities.
Yeah. All I know is it's going to come so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow. Hey, if the episodes continue to go on the way they have been, whoa.
Yeah.
Strap in, folks.
Yeah. And we get 2 episodes on the 27th.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
We're going to be exhausted. We're not.
Yeah.
We're not. I'm going to be exhausted. I'm just going to be passed out on the couch.
Yeah. 2 episodes. No podcast. No podcast.
Forget it. You guys do it yourselves.
Now, you remember that FEDAC wouldn't tell us the title for episode 12. It's top secret. We should be getting that at the end of this week because NBC will release the synopses for episodes 12 and 13 as part of their scheduling lineup. So stay tuned. We'll post that as soon as it comes out. It should be Thursday, maybe Friday.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. Wow. Well, some milestones. I mean, one of them is that this is 4 years since we started.
That's right. It was January of 2008.
January of 2008. This is our 100th podcast because we had a half episode announcing the season 2 renewal, I think.
Yep. No, season 3 renewal.
Or season 3 renewal. Yeah. So, wow. And it's going to be done real quick.
Got some extra wrinkles since then.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do look a little different since then.
My hair's different.
Hair's longer.
Oh, my hair's, man, I had long hair when we started.
I have brown hair when we started.
Yeah. I think it'd be
dark
fun.
Brown hairs. Liz had like short hair.
Yeah. It'd be fun for one of our last podcasts to bring in the old opening.
Oh yeah. Remember that?
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, those were the days.
Those were the days. Yeah. Anyway, on that note, hope you guys have a fun week, and I'm sure that we're going to have just a great bunch of episodes of Chuck in January. So do watch live on Friday nights, 8/7 Central on NBC. Tweet all about it. Go to the chat at chucktv.net. Make sure to check chucktv.net for all your Chuck news. And we'll see you next time.
Happy New Year.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.